Okay. I am so meandering with these damn things. Alright, but I'm enjoying doing them, so I'm probably going to keep doing them. Even if no one watches them but me. I'm enjoying them, so the hell with the rest of you. Although, like and subscribe if you really care. It helps. It does, in fact, help the channel. It makes me feel better about myself, and that's, God knows. Look at how I live. For Christ's sake, give a little, man. Just subscribe. It's like it'll kill you. Or like, what the hell? Just a little button. It's down there. It's down like here-ish somewhere. Down there. Just like it. Don't be a douche. Please. Anyway, the NMCU, Netflix. So Netflix makes Daredevil, and I had high hopes for the Daredevil, not the least of which was because he starts out in a realistic costume, which is from the comics. He wears the kind of pre-Daredevil costume, which is just a scarf pulled all the way down, because it's really not bothering his vision, because he can't damn see. Bad guys don't know that, though. No one else does either. Except for the people who end up finding out, but that's neither here nor there. He's just wearing all black. He's wearing, just workman boots. It's a great outfit. It looks like something the guy could actually make and wear. I mean, it's not that insane. As opposed to, like, much as I love the Sam Raimi films, and I do, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, particularly the first one's very good, especially for the time. It doesn't hold up as well in light of all the other super-duper movies that have come out since then. The Four Colors movies have come out since then have done that better. That said, it was very good, but one sticking point for me was that, like, Peter Parker's just in high school. How in the fuck did he make that costume? I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. Like, a professional-looking Spider-Man costume. Where did that come from? How did he make it? One thing I liked about once again, I'm talking about the damn MCU instead of the NMCU. Whatever. One of the things I liked about Civil War was we saw a brief flash of the Spider-Man costume made by, really looks like it was made by a high school student, and it was amazing. It was absolutely beautiful. Oh, god damn, I love that. Just the fucking hoodie, hand stenciled spider logo, the swim goggles, like the scarf pulled up. It was magnificent. That was the best. Like, yoga pants. Oh, gorgeous. Fantastic work. That was perfect. If a high school student, it's as though some nerdy high school student made this costume, which is exactly what it's supposed to be, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. I hope it shows up at least a little bit in Flashback and Homecoming, because that would be fantastic. That would make me very happy. I would like to see more of that costume. Instead of just switching him to the one, the idea is the new one looks way better, because it's made by, spoilers, I guess, maybe. The newer one is made by Tony Stark, so it's made of science fiction materials by the inventor, the great inventor that is Tony Stark, aka Robert Downey Jr. So I like that, like the grungy, back to the NMCU. God, that's gonna thwart me this entire video. The Netflix cinematic universe is just what I'm going to call it, because that's easy. Alright, Netflix cinematic universe. So we start us off, in fact, we don't see a proper Daredevil costume until the last, I think it was the last episode of the first season. And then it kind of gets little touches here and there, improvements. He gets a crazy baton thing and stuff like that in the second season. It's a little over the top, especially in the last episode. Like, the last episode of Daredevil Season 1 and Season 2 was just a little over the top for me. Otherwise, they're beautiful. They're so wonderful. I love them so much. Um, it's like we're seeing realistic conflicts. Everyone's important. Everyone is important. Every single real character, even like the like the editor for the newspaper, like he kind of has his moment to shine more than once. Foggy is at least as much of a character as uh, Daredevil himself, the Matt Murdock. I mean, it's at least fantastic. And then like everyone matters. Rosia Dario's character, Rosia, whatever her name is. I really like that actress. She's fantastic in everything she's in. Clerks 2. 2 is excellent. This series, she's like the only character who's been in all of them. I hope that she's like the central thread, because that's a neat idea too. She's this one character. It's the Night Nurse, who was an actual comic book. There was a Night Nurse comic at one point where the character was a night nurse, and that's it. She was the Night Nurse, and that character is very cool. I mean, it just look. I'm a paramedic who's willing to keep my mouth shut and save your fucking life, superhero person. It's like awesome. As an awesome touch to have like a grounded, very realistic character pulled into the supervillain craziness that was Daredevil season 1 and 2. And a brief appearance in Jessica Jones, and I'm getting to that. Give me just a damn minute. What else is there to say before moving on to good old what's her name, Jessica Jones? Not too much. I like the way the arcs have evolved. In the entire series, they've learned the strength of the Netflix series has always been that talk is cheap. It's relatively inexpensive to film two characters talking. No special effects, no CGI, just here's two characters just having a chat. And that's drama. That's one way to create interpersonal drama, is to have a conversation like that, and that happens constantly. I mean, part of it might very well be fueled by we don't have the budget to make a superhero film, like a superhero movie. We don't have the budget to make like, Avengers or whatever. So we're just going to keep it low key. We'll have our special effects and our crazy fights when we can, but most of it will be filled out with exposition, which is great. I want that more than anything. It was interesting when Joss Whedon was making, I guess it was Age of Ultron. He heard that there was a Daredevil Netflix show, and he's like, I wanted to do that as a movie. They should have done it as a movie, he said. And my thought was, no, Joss Whedon, I just saw your movie, and I just saw, Daredevil, and I think the opposite is true. I mean, he did this movie that was like damn near 3 hours long. I mean, it was really, really, really quite long. It was at least 2.5 hours. It was quite long for a movie, and he had at least an hour of footage he had to drop. I'm like thinking, dude, Daredevil is, what is it, like 13 episodes a season? They're between 45 minutes and an hour. I mean, they've got a good 10 plus hours of thing to fill out. So they got plenty of time for story and exposition and character arcs and development and so on, which Joss Whedon clearly wants. I mean, his entire Age of Ultron, one of the problems that it runs into is that there's a romance and thing, but it's not. There's a romance between Scarlet Witch and Bruce Banner, but you have to introduce it kind of super quick at the beginning. There's a little bit there. It's not really too much of a lead into it from the other films. There's a thing in the middle. There's a thing at the end, but it's just like bits and pieces. It feels random, and it feels a little forced. If not forced, at least rushed. And fair enough. He's only, even if he had 4 hours, this is a 4-hour film. God, I'd love it. In fact, it might be better than what I saw. if he'd had more time to develop these characters. Even with that much time, there's only so much you can do in a limited format with that. With 10 plus hours, you can develop the shit out of characters. You can flash them back to all the way before they were even had weird powers, and then, oh, I'm just getting my powers. You can dedicate an entire damn hour to that. You can't do that in a movie, which gets me finally to my goddamn point. It's one reason I love the Netflix cinematic universe here, is because there's time. There's time enough to do it. There's not the super rush to pack everything in as quickly as we can. We can have long extended scenes where we build tension, or we have characters develop, or we have characters like kind of like starting to go on to the bad road, down the bad hill, as it were, and then like redeem themselves or not, or get killed, or mourn that guy being killed, blah blah blah. That's great. That's fantastic, and it adds so much to what I like about this series, about these series, is that there's time to develop them. I mean, they're really, you can't rely on special effects when you have 10 hours to fill. You have to have a story. You have to have real characters. Otherwise, how on earth would you do it? You'd never have enough money for that many fight scenes. It'd just be silly. It would look lame too. You'd run out of money, and the fights would be just abysmal. By just picking their fights, they're more dramatic for their sparseness, and when they do show up, they seem dramatic. There's more tension because the characters are more normal. I mean, that's the weirdest thing, getting into why I like these series. Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Luke Cage looks like it's going to be amazing. Is that, and Iron Fist looks really cool too. But here's the weird thing, though, as offbeat as this, Daredevil Netflix series is, it looks like it's going to be the normal one, like kind of the touchstone to, this is the most comic booky of all of them, and it's still pretty far off the beaten path as far as that goes. Okay, Jessica Jones. So, I was not expecting Jessica Jones. I knew nothing about that character. And that's what's been interesting about not just the Netflix cinematic universe, but the Marvel cinematic universe in general. I'll even go so far as to include in that Marvel Knights, which was Ghost Rider, and I think Blade fell under that too. The thing is, I didn't think the Ghost Rider film was very good at all. And I've had a lot of trouble getting through Ghost Rider 2. I haven't gotten through it. I understand it starts really, really slow. But whatever. Even though I didn't like the Ghost Rider film, I can't even blame it on I'm tired. I'm actually pretty alert. This is as good as it gets. Even though I didn't like the Ghost Rider film, it made me appreciate, this is how this character could be. This is how this character could be cool. This is what's cool about this character, interesting about this character, and maybe worth exploring. Even though I didn't care for the Ghostbuster film, I said Ghostbuster again, and I'm keeping it. I'm disciplined. That's the only way I'm going to learn, by being punished and humiliated. That's how life is. Deal with it. Ghost Rider. It made me see how that character could be interesting. Because it was like, that character was very much like the way he was presented. I don't know how much that jibes with the comic book or any particular comic book version, but in the first movie anyway, it's, holy crap, that is full-on, flat-out a demon. That is a demon from hell that compulsively seeks out sinners and the guilty. and we don't like him. The police are not like, hooray, Ghostbuster, oh Lord, I'm going to keep doing it. Ghost Rider, they were like, this is terrible, this thing's terrible, but it's fighting other demons, and it's not against you unless you've done something wrong, and that's a cool idea. That's I've talked about previously, how I think a supervillain movie could be cool when you don't have the expectations that the main character is just seeking out truth, justice, in the American way. The character isn't flawlessly good. The Ghost Rider, I made myself say it, the Ghost Rider film has that potential. It's like, well, we don't like the demon because in addition to fighting demons, he's just randomly hunting guys. And it's like, oh, you're really guilty. You're really, really super guilty. It made you stand out. Now I'm going to give you the penance stare and kill your shit. And he fucks up streets left and right. Like, he's like a terrible, terrible burden on the municipal budget for, I guess that's New York or someplace else. I don't know. It didn't really seem obvious to me. Likewise, back to the Netflix cinematic universe, even the characters I didn't care for, like these movies have made me, like I didn't care for Daredevil initially, but it's like, wow, I was open to a grungy Daredevil, but this showed me how this character can be really interesting and cool, and that's what it should do. I mentioned I didn't really care for the Thor movies. I didn't think they were that amazing. I thought they were okay. I didn't think they were bad at all. I kind of like Kenneth Branagh's take on the first one. But they showed, once again, this is how this character can be cool in a cool way. This is the interesting aspects of this character. Explore that as you see fit. And that's the best a superhero film can do, is just show you how the character could be cool and then try to deliver on that. And the Netflix cinematic universe has done a pretty damn good job of that. I'd go so far as to say an excellent job. The Jessica Jones film was a very grounded, like she didn't, strictly speaking, even have a costume. I mean, there was a costume briefly in it, but she's like, I don't know about wearing that thing. It shows up just to have that sort of, in the comic book, I know that she did have a costume. So they kind of, it's kind of a touchstone, like, call back to the comic when the comic, by and large, didn't have stuff like that. Just a character wearing what she wore. The character was broken psychologically, very interesting. The villain was very, very cool. Like, how do you fight someone who's super strong and stuff? Well, you have mind control powers that allow you, in essence, to hold every single innocent person within the sound of his voice hostage. Like, don't grab me and try to capture me, or else these random people over here are going to go kill themselves. Or, hey, random people over here, go kill yourselves. I guess you're busy now, so I'm going to walk off. Like, I'm going to walk away briskly. See ya. See you later. You have a great one. Do. That's awesome. That's amazing because it's psychological. It's an interesting character in the villain, the Purple Man. They changed to Kilgrave, and they didn't actually make him purple. Good cosmetic touches. I think they could have made him purple. And they probably discussed, I'm betting they discussed it. Like, hey, we can make him purple. But they didn't want him to stick out as such. And it is just cheaper not to have the character be purple all the time. Likewise, it's easier to enforce reality if the characters look normal-ish. Mostly normal. And I like the fact that that's what they've been going for, and they definitely achieved that, by and large. Even when the Daredevil's daredevil-y, where he's wearing the full-on costume, the costume doesn't look like the Ben Affleck red, shiny unitard. It looks more like body armor, and decent body armor at that. It's allegedly made of the stuff, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's allegedly made of relatively bulletproof and knife-proof materials and there's a backstory to that too about why there's a guy who can make that, and he's really good friends. I love the fact even that character is explored well. Melvin or something, the gladiator in the comics. We have nice Easter eggs all around because you have plenty of time to do it. It doesn't feel forced because shit, we got a shit ton of time. We got 10 hours to fill. Let's throw in some Easter eggs. We can, and it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like we kind of forced our way as a callback or whatever. And that's great. Jessica Jones has characters who are really traumatized, really horribly traumatized. Like it's affected their lives from that point forward of being controlled, and that's interesting. That control can traumatize someone. Not just violence, not just being violated or brutalized in some obvious way, but sheer psychological control by another person could be so traumatic. It could totally change someone's life. And it's like that's deep, man, and that's really interesting, and it's well written. Like the whole thing is well written. All of them have been well written. Very well written. I've loved the dialogue for all of them so far. Season 2, I mean, that's Jessica Jones. It was great. It had a great ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it's because the ending's fine. It's very good, but it does run into the supervillain problem, where there aren't enough supervillains. The supervillains are kind of throwaways. It's a problem that I'd argue plagues the MCU. The Netflix cinematic universe, the NCU, I'm just going to call it, has not had that problem. Its villains are awesome. The Kingpin is awesome, and he's still alive, and he's still out there. He didn't just die horribly at the end of it like Ultron or what's his name, the Yellow Jacket, or anyone else who just, like, I'm a supervillain and I'm going to get killed. Like in the Batman v Superman, like Zod gets killed. Spoilers, I guess. In Batman v Superman, the monster troll, what's his face? Doomsday. God, like I sound depressed almost. I'm not so much depressed, I just don't care. Like it's like ignites way in me, and like antipathy. I just like blah. Just the mere mention of it, I just don't give a shit. The words just spring from my mouth. So I think, one problem the MCU has had is the supervillain problem, is that its supervillains often lack depth. There have been a few good ones. Loki, that's why they keep using him. He's shown up like in 1, 2, 3 different movies. Good. That's great. He should show up some more. He's a good supervillain, but they need more like that. He can't just be the only one. They need a longer lasting Red Skull, or someone. They need another Kingpin. They need a super Kingpin. Like someone who can, like the Kingpin couldn't defeat Tony Stark or Captain America, but they need someone of that level as a reoccurring villain. I mean, they're leading up to Infinity War in the MCU, and it's like, guys, you've got no villain here. I mean, it's just a barrage of guys fist fighting legions and legions of soldiers. I could and should do an entire video on Civil War, because it had a neat way around that. But moving forward, away from the MCU, because that's another discussion. The NCU, Netflix Cinematic Universe, did a really good job with its supervillains. It has a lot of reoccurring villains. Not to spoil anything, because if you haven't seen it, you should. Do see these, but too many villains die. Like, there are a lot of cool, distinctive bad guys, and some of them should die. It's grittier. It's like, I can't just be Batman and slap you on the wrist and throw you in an asylum. some of you guys are going to get, you're throwing lethal force at me, you're going to get it back. And what else? So Jessica Jones was great. Moving on to our third season, which was Daredevil Season 2. It was very, very good. It had elements that were great. Although that was kind of an odd thing, wasn't it? It was, what's his name? John Berthal or whatever? The guy who played the Punisher? He was amazing. And I actually liked Elektra, too. This was a very good Elektra. Her costume was reasonable. Her motivations were pretty good, by and large. Pretty good. The Punisher was perfect. Punisher was perfect. He was flawless. I can't think of anything you could do with him to make him better. Everything that was done to make him great was done. And it was done very well, which made me a little sad because I really did like the Thomas Jane Punisher from the original. Oh, not the original, not the Dolph Lundgren, but the second reboot. That one from whenever the hell that one was. 90-something, early aughts, whatever. So I really liked Thomas Jane, but that was John Berthel was very, very good. It was there. I'll say it. He was better. He was a better Punisher. There, you've made me say it. I hope you're happy. People are awful bullies because he really was. He was fantastic. There were rumors that he was going to get his own series, and like the showrunners and some of the producers or people involved with Netflix Cinematic Universe were going, no, we're really not. That's not a thing we're going to do. But he was just so off the cuff awesome that they finally just gave in and said, we're going to give him his own show. And he deserves it. He's just amazing. The setup for him is amazing. He really makes the second season of Daredevil. It makes it so enjoyable. Just seeing a real conflicted character. The problem with the second season of Daredevil is that we do have these two different story arcs, and they're kind of run into each other and cross paths too much and not enough. Like they interfere with each other. Like if somehow they just divided the season into half seasons. Like this half of the season we're dealing with Elektra. This half of the season we're dealing with the Punisher. Separating them out like that might have been a way to go. Alternately, making them somehow, some way involved with each other a little more might have been better too. I mean, it's hard to explain. I think the problem they ran into is unique to Netflix. Like, if this were a regular TV series, it's like, oh, well, it's been a few weeks. We see this character again, that's great. But no one's waiting weeks and weeks to watch episodes of Daredevil. Fuck, well, I'm watching them, every single last one of them in a weekend, if it takes me that long. So you have this new standard. I mean, something that would work in a movie wouldn't necessarily work in a TV show and vice versa. I was just talking about how they have 10 hours of 10 plus hours of character development. They use it to very good effect. But it's not a series drawn out over a season. It's 13 episodes that are all available simultaneously that you get to the end of it. It's like, well, fuck, I can't not watch the next episode. It's probably the weekend. How badly do I really need to sleep? This is a guy who doesn't get enough sleep. You know? That's a thing. Very tasty. So yeah, so they kind of run into each other a little bit, making it feel a little messy. It feels a little messy, like the second season. Although it had more of the stuff I liked, I kind of missed the hyper-realistic Daredevil costume, but then I kind of got a hyper-realistic Elektra costume and a hyper-realistic Daredevil or Punisher costume. So I just got more of what I wanted, and I was happy to. I was deliriously happy to have it. So I'm stoked for So that's those three. So I'm stoked for the next thing is Luke Cage, and so far it looks amazing. It's like, clearly he's indestructible. Okay, so the story is he's indestructible. This is set up in Jessica Jones. He's indestructible, but indestructible does not mean you can't be destroyed, if you follow me. One of the things is he does get badly injured. He gets shot in the head, which causes a concussion. It does not penetrate his skin, but causes his brain to rattle around inside his skull enough that he's going to die. And you can't just give him an injection or whatever because his skin's indestructible. So, very interesting. Once again, he's not so super powerful that he just trumps everything, It's one of the problems I have with superhero films that are very superhero-y, is that it's like, well, you can do all this shit. It's like there's no normal thing that's going to be a conflict for you or that you're even going to care about because you can just do anything. I'm curious how that plays out. Like in Jessica Jones, they pit her against a villain who just controlled absolutely everyone's mind. It was fantastic. That was very clever. Daredevil, he fought some. He's essentially a superpowered kung fu guy. Fought a bunch of kung fu guys and gangsters and mobsters and all sorts of jazz, and that was great. It was fantastic. I'm interested to see if they're able to keep this up. Iron Fist looks really neat too. I'm very curious to see where that goes. Like the raised and you see him in Insane Asylum. We know almost nothing about Iron Fist at this point. And Defenders is coming up, and I'm stoked. I'm just really stoked for all these. These all look amazing. The MCU, the NMCU's medium is as much of a draw for me as anything else. And if you haven't seen these, I urge you, do see them. Even if you aren't kooky about superhero films, although if you're the kind of person who isn't kooky about superhero films, why on earth are you watching my videos? But that's neither here nor there. Just check them out. They're really good. They're worth your time. At least try Jessica Jones, because it's different. It's very, very, very different. It almost doesn't play like a superhero film, although it's very much a superhero film. You got a superhero and a supervillain. And only one of each. It's through the whole thing. As opposed to Daredevil, which is more, there's lots of bad guys that he has to fight, and so on and so forth. I hope they continue that with Daredevil in the future. I'm very eager to see the Punisher. Berthel has just done an amazing job with that character. Please give him the opportunity to do more. He's got it in 2017. I want to see this character go nuts, like unleash the power of writing, because that's what I love about this: the encouragement of writing and dialogue and drama. I love my superhero stuff, and it's great to see people smash buildings and stuff, but Batman v Superman, you could learn an important lesson here. Having guys just sit around for at least 5 fucking minutes and have a conversation, a normal conversation that has a setup and so on, is great. It's great to watch. It's fun to watch. It's interesting to watch. You don't have to make explosions to keep my attention. Stop thinking you do. I'm not for. I'm not even going to get into the DC Cinematic Universe. Yes, once again, that's oh dear God, no, I'm out.